Yes. Hi, sorry, kanina pa pala. Guys, this is Nikki, you also known as Business Trader, and you're watching the Awesome 10X Philippine Market Update. It's March 5, 2021. It's a Friday. Let's begin. All right, so the Philippine markets are relatively decoupled from the entire global markets. The global markets are actually reeling off about 20%. Some stocks are going down 40-50% from their peaks on February 15 to 23, 2021. And the Philippine markets are actually luckily spared. So I'm not sure if the Philippines is just a delayed drop, or is it just really no reaction from the entire world scene? So let's take a look at the Philippine index. You could see that the Philippine index is relatively muted. It's 6,881.37, particularly unchanged. Your market value, however, is very little at about 6.95 billion pesos. Your advancers are 87, your decliners are 135, and your foreign net selling is about 600 million pesos. Now let's understand the index movers for the Philippine market. Your ICT is 125, your BDO is 110.8, your Metro Bank is 48.85, Ayala Corp is 770, your Aboitiz Power is 25, PLDT is 12.99, Mega World is 373, SM is 10.41, SM Prime is 37, GD Capital is 565, Aboitiz Equity Ventures is 42.75, Meralco is trading at 279, your Ayala Land is Luciatan Group's 14, Ayala Land 38.5, FGen's 30, Pure Gold's 37.6, Emperador's 1018, DMC's 539, Globus 1992, MPI is 411, San Miguel Corporation is 125, Robinson's Land is 1952, Bloomberry is 785, Security Bank is 128.1, Robinson's Retail is 53.25, AGI is 1052, Jollibee is about 186.8, BPI is 86.5, URC is 128.1, AJG Summit is 65. So relatively speaking, you could see that the Philippine markets barely went down, in contrast for what the US stock markets were bleeding last night. Now let's understand as well the statistics. If you take a look at the top traded names in the Philippine market, yes, you have a drop on Davin, down 25%, perhaps because the disclosures on Davin is not appetizing. We'll read about it, about the Montosco Premier Wine and Spirits. Now, BDO is trading still at 110.8, suggesting that the financials are able to stay, even if that is what you'd call nearing that upside resistance. Your Dito Telecom, your FA, your they're down a little, about 15.24, Marimar to 6.12, FA is 2.88. But surprisingly, you've got companies like Prim and BHI up 21% and 50%, 100 million and 160 million value traded for these two speculative related names in the Philippine markets. So these are what you'll say are property related companies that are very little market caps. Now your Nickel Asia continue to fall down, 535 to 515, perhaps in lieu of a lot of your secular winners abroad falling down, particularly your electric vehicle beneficiaries like your Tesla, etc. And so it really affects Nickel Asia as well. Now your ASEAN is up a little bit, just unchanged here at 714, but I would say that it is still in a tricky ground here because ASEAN is a renewable energy play, and worldwide renewable energy has been falling and trickling down with a lot of profit takers. Yes, it's a secular long-term uptrend, but I'd say that ASEAN might be consolidating in a distribution fashion as well. But it could consolidate, doesn't have to crash, but these levels seem extended. URC is 128, Converge is 1716, suggesting that, well, some people started to sell their Converge at 1850 above, and it's now trading at 17. We'll see whether Converge can sustain that 16.8 previous high level. Now your Greenergy continued upwards today, 431. Your Ayalas were able to climb up. Ayala Corp is 770, SM 1041. Vol is down 7%, BSC is down 2.6%, Lodestar is down 4%, Now Corp is down 3.8%. So you're seeing really a movement or rotation on your speculative names. So BHI and Prim seems to be the biggest winners for the day. We'll take a look at whether people have something to say on these two names. Let's take a look at how these two charts are doing for the Philippine market and what inspired people to buy a lot of BHI and Prim in the first place. Let's read on any news in these two categories. Okay, let's close this. Let's take a look, BHI. So you'll see that the Philippines is kind of able to sustain itself and even muster a 50% rally on a company. Market cap today is $1 billion, so it was just about 700 million pesos yesterday. Subsector hotel and leisure. Of course, this is also a resort. BHI rose from 04 to 09, almost 100% in just 3-4 days. So let's see whether there is news at all on BHI. So notice of a special stockholders meeting and a material information and transaction. Let's read March 5, 2021. It says here that we want to increase and 2.6 billion pesos per share at a subscription of 10 cents per share, immediate compensation of JP Guilds, cancellation of partnership between RPPI and BHI, and appointment of Director Michael Panlilio as Assistant Corporate Secretary of BHI. That is one news that is being said. In the Board of Directors meeting, let's understand what is exactly happening here. Pursuant to the authority to increase our market cap or their authorized capital structure, the cancellation of Revolution pre-crafted to build a resort in Cavite. Okay, so why would they actually rise 50% on a day like today? What would there be announced on a special stockholders meeting? What is gonna happen here? So during the special meeting, going to be held on April 29, 2 p.m. virtually, they want to approve management and financial statements. Actually, there wasn't something written here, so maybe people are speculating on what BHI is gonna do. Let's try to understand some queries. Reply to the exchange query. This was December 2020. Update of BHI on its ongoing operations of Friday's Resorts. So let's read it together. BHI's letter to their shareholders. I write to you upon completion and receipt of the financial statements. Our Friday's Boracay Resort, we tried to cross the island from the shoreline. Now we have other factors to contend with. We've got furloughed hotel staff leaving us. We now rely on 3 accountants. And operations-wise, Friday's Puerto Galera Beach Resort and Boracay Beach Resort remain closed since March pandemic, and no date for reopening. We are targeting Friday's Resort to open on January 2021. Finally, we're also working out our finance operations, and then we remain positive with our recent developments for Sangli Airport and Naik Bataan Bridge projects, upping the value of our parcel investments. And we have little or no debt, while the liabilities constitute just the usual supplier accounts. So that is Mr. Jose Marcel Panlilio, the chairman and CEO. So basically, he has cash. And right now, let's take a look how much cash does BHI really have. No? So let's try to understand material transactions and agreements. Let's try to understand this. Delayed submission, all right, so not that perhaps. What else is happening in this company? Why don't we read the most latest annual report? Okay, so amended March 2, 2021. Their annual report suggests here by BHI is that their current assets are about 58 million, total assets about 2 billion pesos. Their liabilities are 200 million, so their only liability here is 347, assuming all of the things here are up to date. Now, of course, they're also saying here that their revenues are small, expenses are large, particularly perhaps the resorts were closed. Okay, so let me understand more. Okay, I'll try to read on this news. Okay, let's try to dig into the social media if they have anything to say. Friday's Resort, Boulevard Holdings news. So let's see if they are saying anything. 1 week ago, net loss. February 5 last year, they swung to a profitability, but of course they went to a loss. They're banking on the Boracay opening to boost their sales performance. So in a way, okay, and then 2019, they were selling a condo portfolio. Panlilio-owned DHI claims that Friday's Resort Boracay land is false, says the Yap Sumunidad. There are claims that DHI owns the land where it stands are wrong. That's 2016. So let's understand this. Let's try to understand the news that's coming out. Okay, so due to travel restrictions, so it's really more of almost like a sympathy play to the reopening on travel in a way. Even if they haven't really opened any of their resorts yet, they might plan to open, right? They're also planning to expand their property portfolio. They have a lot of their businesses affected because of the tourism. Okay, got it. In 2019, they said they're selling a portfolio of condominiums to fund the resort development. So they've got some businesses of his hotels in Boracay, Puerto Galera, and Cebu, as well as a resort in Cavite and Cebu. So we already know that the Cavite didn't work out because there was a dissolution with the revolution pre-crafted, so no more. They said that they've got several mini penthouse units in Enterprise Makati, in Ortigas, and several condo units in Makati. And during an appraisal, they said that they're able to see that their condominiums have appreciated about 77 million pesos at the very least, or about 50 million higher than the ones valued on their books. Also, they believe that they've got substantial assets which are reflected at 1.8 billion pesos without consideration on the improving market conditions over the last 2 decades. So what they're saying is that DHI has a property portfolio that perhaps is worth more than what the market is pricing in. Rentable real estate properties, strategic land locations. It has ownership of this Boracay Island Beach Resort, Friday's Puerto Galera, in Boquete Island, and some of these. So, all right, so they are trying to reinforce what we felt was an undervaluation on DWC. So because we think that DWC assets are Boracay, Discovery World has Boracay, Siargao Island, Palawan. So they're trying to say that, hey, I'm also a Boracay play. So all right, so let me see how exactly the market is seeing this this company. All right, so since 2011, it rallied to 55 cents, only to fall down to about 5 centavos, or something like 90% down. Now, with this real I don't know what you call this, from about 5 cents, it rose to about nearing 10 cents. Where is the first resistance, guys, of Boulevard Holdings? When we look at the chart, we could see that, well, there's a very strong resistance, it seems, on a 15-cent level. Assuming that it goes 50% up after today's ceiling move, it is perhaps going to get some retest at about 12 or 15, whether it's 20% or 30% or 50%. Now, of course, if you are very lucky, then you've got another resistance at 20 cents. Let's not try to assume that we're going to get these levels. So the first resistance first is 12, 15, and 20. Now, assuming that the market is truly bullish, where will be the very strong support? It seems like there is a very strong support now at about 5.5 centavos. So I think like that is the only news that I could say for the Philippines. Of course, Vol went up. Let's try to, sorry, not Vol, the Prim, no? So let's try to understand what happened with Prim. PRIM, no? PRIM. Okay. So Prime Media has been rising from 1 to 3.6. So it seems that this has already been rising since February about 360%. So these probably have a news, and I have no idea what it is. Congratulations, though, to the people who are up 300% on their Prime Media holdings. Most likely, a company doing that would do a restructuring. So let's try to understand whether there is news on Prime Media holdings. a market cap of 2.4 billion, starting from about 600 million almost before. So what exactly happened here? News and disclosures. Okay, change in director, update on material information. Okay, let's understand this material transaction. As of December 29, 2020, the company notifies RYM to mutually agree with Greenergy and certain landowners to determine and terminate this MOA in July 19, 2019. Okay, so the impact therefore on real estate assets, they have decided no longer to pursue and terminate. Okay, got it. What else? Let's try to understand more news. Stockholders meeting, material transaction, July 2020. Says here that PRIM is trying the RIM. So wala nga, it didn't happen. Okay, so wala, that didn't happen. All right, what else? Material information, March 2020. It's a purely holding and investment company. It has no employees and has no directors. So basically, PRIM is just a backdoor play. Nothing else. It's just a publicly listed asset with nothing inside. And people are paying 300% on a company with nothing inside. So there could be a backdoor rumor on Prime Media Holdings for it to go up like that. So let's try to understand if there's really a rumor happening. Backdoor. Is there like a Google search on that? Romualdez acquires RIM, completes acquisition of Prime Holdings through a backdoor listing process. Romualdez acquires backdoor shell 2013 for a moribund property company that is Prime Media. So late Ferdinand Martin Romualdez taken the listed but moribund company Prime Media for a possible backdoor listing venture. This is a 2013. So I guess the market is just thinking that there's a backdoor, but I really don't know. So 2013 till 2021, this is what it was 2013. 1 peso after 8 years, it's 360. So I don't know, guys, but the market is seeming to buy it up. All right, so let me see your comments, if any. I recall that you mentioned about Nicolasia being overpriced and soon to go around 4 earlier this week. Is the drop of world nickel prices in with that statement or not? And is there any good price to enter FNI nickel? It's possible that FNI nickel would fall a bit. So let's see whether it can actually go down $4.50. And Nicolasia, let's see whether it's around $4, 4 peso 50 or about 5 peso for nickel. We'll see if there is a healthy consolidation drop. And of course, we'll take a look at whether FNI can go down to about 2. Let's take a look at the charts of these two. In a way, you have to understand that demand for nickel is actually a function of electric vehicles. And with electric vehicles reeling on the downside, you might see that Nicolasia and FNI could actually be reeling also on the downside. So I see that this is seemingly a double top, at least in the short term at 318. You've got a support of FNI at $2, but also another support at 184. As for Nicolasia, you see that level of about 650 is short-lived. And it looks to go down to maybe as high as high or as low as about 450 or about 4. So even this 470 as a potential support, but also probably a stronger support. I don't think 350 is. I mean, I'm not sure, but looks like it can go down. There's a leeway to fall, given that. If you take a look at how the global markets are doing, you'd see that extensions of Nicolasia is probably not going to be sustained. Hi, Nikki. Thoughts on Davin and Tech? Davin actually fell down today. So let's take a look at whether there's actual news disclosures on Davin. Let's read that Davin today very fast. Yes, it's down a lot, about 25%. So from about 10 all the way to 490. I did caution you that you don't engage in a company when you don't understand the backdoor listing processes yet. So let's read about the backdoor listing of Davin. Says here that the disclosures in connection with 418 million pesos divided into 418 billion shares for a spin-off on the Montosco Meritos Prime distributions, Premier Wine and Spirits. So we don't know the actual listing price for this. It could be a peso, 2 peso. You need to see where Da Vinci is gonna be. There will be a price set here, and you're gonna have to wait it out. So says here that there will be a share swap between Costco and Da Vinci for a spin-off of liquor subsidiaries of Costco Capital. So it's gonna be a pure play. It's gonna compete with Emperador, and it's gonna be a four around here. It's Investcap pay 25% subscription. Yeah. Okay, so it is a company that you need to watch and wait for, but because we have lack of information, I would have to wait for what the company is actually gonna say. That's why you don't need to press, you don't even need to buy. You just need to wait for what the market will say, And then it means that there will be a potential share swap with Costco. You don't know yet the share swap price. So you don't know if it's beneficial to Costco or if it's beneficial to Davin. It's a wait and see. You want to see what the relevant details will be. About tech, tech is always trying to raise some money, right? So they've got that commercial bill that they raised some money. Right now, it's still sleeping. The important thing about tech is that I think you want to see whether their commercial papers did. Cirtek is a maturing paper, Feb 18, would like to inform the investing public. They actually list the 2 billion pesos worth of shares, reissues commercial papers. Yeah, so I think like the market is unwilling to pay for tech because they aren't aware if Cirtek is doing well or yeah, so there's just lack of information, I think. So Cirtek has a lack of news disclosure so far for us to really know and determine. So right now, if you go there, they're raising $20 million or a billion pesos from preferred shares, expanding production for the electronics. Yeah, so I think like IMI and Cirtek are both electronic firms, but I'd say that I'll just wait and see. A company seems to be trying to raise a lot of money right now from the market to the commercial papers. This is March 5. So usually you give it some time. The circumstances for this is really if they get the money, they'll probably be able to manage their working capital and have a better outlook after they get their money. Okay, so that's it. Thank you very much. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. See you again later, 5:30 p.m. Friday is a free class. And let's discuss about the global markets, okay? And please tune in for my global market updates as well. Thank you. Bye-bye.